Srila Prabhupada gave an example once of how he started this movement. He said there was once a man walking down the street and he saw a dried out gourd, something like a pumpkin shell, and he picked it up. And he kept walking and he found an old broomstick and he picked it up. And he kept walking and he found an old rusty nail and he picked it up. And he kept walking and he found a metal wire and he picked it up. And when he got home, he fixed the broomstick to the gourd, put a nail on one end of the broomstick, and fixed the wire to that nail and stretched it and fixed it to the other end of the gourd, and he started to pluck the string. Ching, 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 ching. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And he said, this is the way I started the movement. And one time I asked Prabhupada, why did you go to America? You previously, your godbrothers went to Europe. He said, yes. One godbrother went to England and he came back a failure. And the second godbrother went to Germany and he came back a failure. So I was thinking, I will be the third failure, but let me fail in a different place. So I came to America. One devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, or he said, Srila Prabhupada, all we need is sincerity. And Prabhupada said, yes, and a little intelligence. So one time I was with Prabhupada listening to a lecture, and during the lecture he said, are you happy? And he looked around the audience and no one said anything, but one devotee went like this. He said, yes, you're not happy? Man manabhava mad bhakto mad yachimam namaskuru mam ivaisasi satyante pratijane priyosine. He said, simply remember Krishna, become his devotee, worship Krishna, offer all your homage to Krishna. And Krishna promises you will come back to me because you're very dear to me. So are you happy? He said, but you must be happy. Susakam kartam avyayam. You must be happy if you practice Krishna consciousness. He said, therefore there is some fault in the practice. If you're not happy, there is a fault in the practice. Either you're not chanting nicely Hare Krishna without offenses, or there's some discrepancy. Therefore, man manabhava mad bhakto mad yachimam namaskuru mam evaisasi satyante pratijane priyosine. You simply remember Krishna, you must be happy. So then the devotee didn't shake his head anymore. And this formula is always a successful formula. Another time, I was with Prabhupada and I asked him, how can a person be really humble? And Prabhupada quickly answered and said, when you're absolutely sure that nothing you have will save you, not your money, not your education, not your family, not your gun, but only Krishna, then you will become genuinely humble. Another time, I was listening to Prabhupada while he was speaking on a morning walk, and I was absolutely stunned. He was lambasting the scientists. He said, they are rascals. They are ruining the whole world. They're pretending to be gurus, but they're misleading the people. And I was stunned because I had been trained so many years in school and in college in science and respecting science and thinking that science was the future of humanity. And I said, Srila Prabhupada, I've never heard anyone speak like you have about the scientists and calling them rascals. I said, I've never heard anything like this. He said, yes, I can do this. And you know why I can do it? I couldn't say anything. He said, because I know, and he went like this, pointed his finger and said, I know Krishna is behind everything, therefore I can do this. So that was a wonderful experience to see the pure devotee talking about his certainty about Krishna. Another time there was a French journalist interviewing Prabhupada in London, and I was sitting watching, witnessing the interview. And the French journalist was a relatively young man, and he was asking Prabhupada one question after another. And he said, Swami, when were you born? 1896. And what kind of education did you have? I had a nice education from my mother and father. And then I went to Scots College. And Swami, do you believe in God? Well, when he said that, there was silence, and Prabhupada was just looking at him. And he said, do you believe in God? And this journalist said, well, wait a minute, Swami, I'm the one asking the questions. You're the one that's supposed to answer the question. He said, no. He said, now I'm asking you a question. Do you believe in God? And he said it in a very sincere but heavy way. And there was silence. And we were all stunned. You know, I was thinking in my mind, how could this man ever ask a question like that to Srila Prabhupada? He was a representative of Krishna. Shakshat Hari, very dear to the Lord. So there was silence, and the journalist realized the seriousness of the situation. And he sort of bowed his head like this and didn't say anything. And progressively his head went down and down until he was almost touching his feet. And he sort of mumbled, no. Prabhupada said, what is this? What is this? Who is this? And he said, my dear man, he said, I'm speaking to you, but I'm not speaking to your coat and shirt. I'm speaking to your soul. And then he began very slowly, but with a lot of determination, explaining the difference between the soul and the body, and the relationship of the individual soul to Krishna, and the absolute necessity for the living entity to engage in the service of Krishna. And we were all absolutely thrilled by the whole conversation. Of course, there was no conversation, just Prabhupada preached to them. The interview was over. Then another time, I arranged a meeting of Srila Prabhupada with a relatively famous man named Jean Herbert. He was the official biographer of Sri Aurobindo, and he had written extensively about Aurobindo and his teachings and his life, and a lot of other spiritual things about India, and he was considered himself like a guru. And when he met Srila Prabhupada, he brought a book with him that he had just written, and he explained to Prabhupada how he had spent 11 years writing this book. He had gone and lived in Vrindavan for 2-3 months, interviewed many of the Goswamis in different temples, especially in the Radha-Raman temple. And he said, and this is my book, Swamiji. It is called Krishna, the Yoga of Love, or in French, the Yoga d'Amour. And he said, this is a translation of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And he put it in front of Prabhupada. And Prabhupada didn't even look at the book. He said, yes. You spent 11 years writing the book.
There's chairs up front here for those who are looking for chairs, a place to sit.
He said, yes, you have spent 11 years writing the book, and there are still many mistakes in it. When he said that, this gentleman's ego deflated from 20 feet high to 1/4 of an inch. And from that point on, that was it. He didn't say another word. And Srila Prabhupada simply preached to him the importance of Krishna consciousness.